Mike McClelland, the 27-year-old pro from Springdale, Arkansas, and back-to-back Invitational Trail champion. Today, Mike's going to show us the winning pattern inside and out.
Prop busters, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of big stumps out here, and
like that one.
that one there. A lot of them are unseen. You really just have to be careful and feel your way back through these flats to get to the areas that have a little deeper water. There's some little ditches and impressions in the flat that I feel like the fish use to get back into the areas that they're in. Some of the areas back here, there's four feet of water in, and it allows the fish some deep water access, and then I feel like they move up on the stumps to feed and also just to shelter themselves from the sun when it's real sunny and from the wind on days when the wind blows hard.
Mike's fishing isolated stumps on the main lake, wide open to the wind.
The wind has blown continuously now for 5 days. It's pushed not only the bait fish, but the fish have in turn followed the bait fish back here. And the bait fish make themselves a lot more visible on these sunny days. As the water warms, the bait fish start coming up on the surface. You can see them flickering around, and this time of year, whenever you can find shad that are active, you're most generally going to find fish that are feeding also. Wind usually is a big factor in making fish more aggressive, and they bite better in the wind. But the fact that these fish are buried down in the root systems of these stumps makes it tough to get their attention with any particular bait and draw them out to hit. Some of these root systems, like on this particular stump, there's actually roots that run out from this stump 15 feet. The base of the stump actually has a cavern underneath it, so the fish have a cavern underneath the root system of the stump that they can go into when they're not in a feeding mode. I think when the fish decide that they're ready to eat, they move to the upper portion of the roots, and they really become a little bit more aggressive. However, these fish, with the water temperature being what it's been, have not been as aggressive as a lot of people had anticipated them to be in this tournament. The spinnerbait that I'm using is a War Eagle spinnerbait. The bait's made with music wire, and it allows you to retrieve the bait in a number of different ways and the bait still work properly. A lot of spinnerbaits have a tendency to roll from side to side as you speed up or slow down your retrieve. When I first pull up to a stump, I normally make 2 or 3 casts and retrieve the bait relatively fast over the upper portion of the stump. After I've made a few casts and done that, I'll slow the bait down and actually try to work it down into the root systems of the stump. As I bring the bait through the stump root system, there's times that I actually will stop the bait as it hits a root and try to let it fall down over the root down into the little holes that the roots have in them. When I throw the bait, I'll retrieve it at one rate, stop, maybe even pop my rod a time or two. And you know, especially when you get the bait down into the cover, you can make the bait do things just by changing your retrieve. You can kind of kick your reel handle a time or two, and that'll make your skirt kind of flare in and out. And I think that can really trigger strikes a lot of times. Another thing I think is real critical about fishing cover like this is you want to throw beyond your target. And that allows you can actually position your boat in a position where you can bring your bait more effectively through the target. And also you can, you know, with the directions you move your rod and different things, you can actually keep your bait in the strike zone a lot longer than if you were to just retrieve it at one steady rate or with your rod in one position. I actually sometimes will throw down the side of the stump and move the boat forward as I'm cranking the bait in, so I can actually work the bait around 2 sides of the stump in one cast.
Most anglers fishing shallow cover will go out of their way to stay as quiet as possible. Listen to this unconventional thought from Mike.
If you fish an area for a little bit and the fish quit biting, that you can actually go up into the area and make a little noise, bump into a few of the stumps, and it'll move the fish around and get them in a position where they'll bite again in, say, 15, 20, or 30 minutes.
Mike says wind direction is also a big factor.
I've always felt like that fish will feed in the direction that wind is bringing the bait fish to them. A lot of times you can fish a stump actually throwing your bait with the wind, retrieving it against the wind, and not get bit. and turn around and throw your bait into the wind and bring your bait with the wind, as a bait fish would be blown to the stump and get strikes that you wouldn't get if you brought your bait the other direction.
Like any successful pro angler, Mike McClelland is a student. He spends a lot of time studying different ways bass behave and figuring out how to catch them.
There's a lot of guys that I've fished with that when they find something like this and they catch fish, they really never investigate what's there. Whereas if I fish an area, you know, the time I feel like I should fish it and don't get a bite, I'll penetrate on into the area and really try to key on what's there. People will fish cover like this and never go on into it, and the fish will never become active.
And like any experienced angler knows, timing is often the key to success.
You know, timing's so critical as far as, you know, I mean, you may fish all day long and not get bit, and then in a matter of, like, you know, yesterday happened to me, just in a matter of 30 or 45 minutes, I caught the majority of the fish I caught.
Mike fished 13 hours with our Bassmaster TV crew this day after the tournament. And 2 of the 3 bass he caught came within 10 minutes late in the day. Now that's timing. Now it's time for the Pros Pointer, brought to you by Wrangler Rugged Wear, geared for the outdoors.
I feel like a key to my recent victory here at Ross Barnett was the particular spinnerbait I was throwing. It's a War Eagle spinnerbait made in Springdale, Arkansas. The bait is unique in a lot of ways. It has a smaller gauge wire, which allows the bait to flex a lot more and has a lot more vibration as you're retrieving the bait through the water. The bait always stands straight up, where a lot of other spinnerbaits roll over on their side as you retrieve them through the stumps, and I feel like that was a key to me catching the fish that I did. Let me show you something else that I bet you haven't seen. The particular rod I use is a Bud Earhart fishing stick. It's a round wrap design, and the guides actually wrap around the rod as they go toward the tip. The benefits of this rod is that it allows for no line friction as the rod's loaded up when you catch a fish. That could save possibly neglect on your line that would allow it to break when you hook a large fish. Another benefit of this rod is the fact that it allows greater castability due to that line friction not being there. The combination of these 2 things put together has allowed me to win 2 recent BASS Invitational tournaments.
Next week on the Bassmasters, we'll be climbing in the boat with another red-hot young pro by the name of Kevin Van Dam, 2-time winner of the Angler of the Year Award. You be sure to join us right here on TNN Outdoors. And for the Bassmasters, I'm Ray Scott, and I'll be looking to see you next week.
The Bassmasters has been brought to you by Zebco Quantum, the top names in fishing. Bass Pro Shops, world's largest supplier of premium tackle. Jersey's Activewear, the official licensed knit apparel of the Bass Angler Sportsman Society. Berkeley Dry-Leaf, America's #1 selling fishing line. Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. Evinrude Outboards, leading the way. Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. Lowrance, setting the course in marine electronics.